Welcome to Redditors. Please hit the like button. Let's get on with the video.
Parents of bullies, when did you realize your child was a bully and how did you react? My son was a bully. First grade I started getting noticed from his teacher that he was throwing sand at girls and stabbing people with a pencil. I talked to him and he had crazy first grade reasons like she was being mean first. I told him it's not cool and to knock it off. Every teacher meeting I would tell them to let me know and I'll punish him. Second grade, I meet the teacher. I warn her that I think he's a bully and to watch him. Same starts happening. But now he's being mean to specific people. Anyone that can't run fast etc. I'm thinking to myself, I can't watch him all the time. What do I do? At home I start punish him but it doesn't really do anything. All teacher conferences main agenda is bullying. Third grade, I meet the teacher and warn her we have a bully on our hands. Same crap happens. I'm reading a book on the subject and I read a passage that says if you call a kid a bully he lives up to the role. Let the experiment begin. From that day I stopped calling him a bully and started saying things like you're going to help your teacher today, right? You are a good boy. Make me proud by being a helper. Almost night and day. The calls stopped. The next teacher conference. The teacher said how helpful he was. He's in 8th grade now. No bully calls. I make him do volunteer work weekly just in case. He still does crazy crap like attacking kids that are mean to girls but no bullying. I don't know if I caught it in time or if my kid just needed coaching but it worked. Recently, because I'm working from home and so get to hear, albeit distractedly, the discourse between my two youngest sons. My ears perked when I heard the oldest one's voice drop and the other react with a sudden wail. Then the older one, cool as a cucumber, affected as hell, say hey, are you okay, little buddy? While the other one continued to cry. I strode into the little one's bedroom in time to see the older one towering over the younger one staring at him menacingly, but he saw me from the corner of his eye and continued with the fake tone. Mom, something's wrong with that chair. He was sitting in it and it just like flipped over. I just could not believe how he could believe that I would buy that, and his tone was just fake. It gave me chills. I had never seen that side of him before. He's 13 BTW. I was a bully in middle school, and I can tell you that you won't get many good answers. People like me get that way because nobody is paying any attention. If nobody makes you feel good you do it yourself, and children aren't mature enough to do that properly, so they try to steal happiness from others. They'll put you down to feel good. That's why bullies break down if you beat them just once. Their hand has slipped from the last string of control they had. It's not pleasant for anyone, and the longer it goes on, the more irreparable the damage becomes. TLDR, pay attention to your kids, and show them the way of kindness by example. All I know is that my wife is a teacher, and when she tells parents about their kid being mean, or a bully, or anything bad, they just say shh like he doesn't do that at home. He's a good boy, you must be lying, or the other kids are lying. The parents at her school are affluent and can do no wrong. Parents, please listen to your children's teachers. As a teacher, I heard this too. I taught for 18 years, and here's something else I learned. Usually whenever a child has a problem, you meet the parents and discover the source of the problem. No one likes to hear this though. Several answers here are along the lines of one of the things that makes a bully is lack of attention. My parents love me more than life itself, and yet I was still a bully in my elementary years. I couldn't tell you why exactly, other than just saying autism, which is no excuse. My parents did not allow the teachers to use that as an excuse, and made sure I was appropriately punished, and I am so grateful for that. Anyway, most autistic children have the one thing they obsess over. For me, it was Garfield the cat. Every phone call from the principal, one Garfield thing was taken away, and it broke my parents' hearts, but it worked. My nephew's a bully. I saw it coming though. My sister's non-existent in his life. He and my brother-in-law are separated from my sister. Honestly, she's a piece of work. Most of the family has turned their backs on her because she compulsively lies and treats everyone like they are not good enough. She slapped me in the face during Thanksgiving because I stepped out to speak to my then girlfriend who was in a PICE facility after threatening to kill herself. She said I was being selfish and needed to spend time with the family, not on my phone. Naturally my nephew picked up on this behavior while she still at least tried to act like a mother. Recently found out he punched a kid in the face and broke his nose. It's awful to hear about because the whole family is super supportive of my brother-in-law, and we know my nephew has some developmental issues because he was born about 2 months early and had to be incubated. Anyways, he's 6 or 7 now and starting to show these pretty serious signs. Anger. I haven't been in the area. I moved almost a state away for work though and haven't been able to be part of my nephew's life in a while, which is a bummer. I just hope my brother-in-law is managing. A bunch of friends and myself were sitting around one day talking about school and we got to the subject of being bullied. As I sat there listening, I realized that I didn't have a story to tell. This is when I also realized I was the bully. Honestly, most bullied person I know also bullied weaker people at some point. For me, the bottom line of bullying is simply show them you bite back. Once it's learned for good. Not a bully, but I know I got one of my old bullies hard when, on suggestion from one of my cousins, to invite said bullies to my birthday party. 7 total. Only one showed, and proceeded to introduce the kid as the shithead who beats me up every day, even called him that in front of his mom. I know at some point the kid's mom had a discussion with my mom. I'll ask if she remembers how it went, and after about 20 minutes they up and left. Never had an issue with him afterwards. My sister was a bully. She bullied me and my brother and also kids in school. My parents ignored it. I think they were a little afraid of her. Your parents afraid of your sister? WTF, was she some sort of underage Navy SEAL or SMTH? During this lockdown I have been tasked with raising my nephews in the absence of my Bill and sister, as they are both doctors and we are following strict guidelines to remain separate. My eldest nephew had been bullying his younger brother and some kids over the internet. He was generally being a dick. I immediately realized that he was a bully but also hurting, but I didn't give him any excuses for his bad behavior. I made sure to be vocal and reprimand him every time he was crossing the line or being even vaguely inappropriate towards his brother. We started to have regular conversations on where his sour attitude was coming from, and at first it just seemed like he was born to be an a-hole, but I persisted. After a while he opened up to me and he started to feel like he was being heard, and was then able to explain to me that he felt like he was a disappointment to our family as we are all fairly academic and successful in our professional lives, and he was worried since he isn't so academically inclined. He was also insecure about his sexuality, because his voice was still childlike and not like his friend's little brother, so he thought that made him gay. We obviously tapped into, worked on that homophobic thought, and was there for being overly aggressive and macho. He felt like he was the ugly, dumb older brother who could never do right compared to his younger brother. He also felt insecure about his lack of hair growth, both facial and down below. I can honestly say that in the past few months he has been with me, he has drastically changed because I took the time to listen and give him all the love I had for him. I apologize for not making him feel more loved, not showing him how much I loved him and how important he was to me and his parents. We had a family Zoom chat with his parents and discussed all his frustrations and upsets with his parents, siblings and even me. We all agreed to praise him more and to view his achievements with enthusiasm and pride it deserved. We assured him that he will never ever be compared to anyone else again. Honestly, in a few months he went from being this annoying, always bad kid to the kid I always knew he was deep down. He now is helpful, kind and very fun to be around. He has stopped bullying his brother. They not only get along but have started to be like friends, and we issued letters of apologies to the kids he was bullying. Initially he wanted to text them, but I persuaded him to reconsider. All the kids were gracious enough to accept his written apologies. Sometimes kids need to be reminded loudly and often how loved and wanted they are. Not my story, but my mom's friend's mother. A friend of mine became a bully in middle school. My mom and her mom were friends when we were kids in Girl Scouts. We played together but went our own way more and more when she started to become mean. There was this community event about bullying for Girl Scouts I think, and my mom went to support the organizer, and because I'd been bullied for years, she wanted to find ways to support me and resolve troop conflicts. This friend's mom went and my mom saw her. She since left the troop and it had been a few years, and was surprised. Asked her if her daughter had been bullied too. She responded, no, my daughter's become a bully and I'm embarrassed. I want to understand why she's doing this and try to teach her how much she's hurting others. My mom was really impressed because this woman, prior to this conversation, was kind but rather aloof and ignored a lot of the previous young girls picking on each other in Girl Scouts clubs, passing it off as just normal kid issues. It was almost like she'd finally flicked a switch and realized that her daughter's behavior had been progressively getting worse over the years, and she, as a mom, had just ignored it until it got to a very serious point. I'm not sure what came of it, but from other people who went to high school with her, she apparently became less of a true bully and started to act more kindly. I always wondered how those conversations went. Not until he started 5th grade. He was super close to his grandpa, wife's dad, and when he died it destroyed him and his behavior changed. Few weeks after the funeral, this kid's mom called my wife saying things my kid was saying and doing. Not the school, mind you. We had a parent-teacher conference days before she called. Teacher didn't say a word. We talked to him. Your first reaction is to protect your kid and not accept it, but we can tell by the way he was reacting to the discussion. We arranged a play date of sorts. We monitor it now. He talks to a therapist too. He's a good kid, just makes terrible decisions. As a father of 4, we've been on the other end of it as well, and usually if the kid's an a-hole, so is one or both of the parents. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree at times. My parents thought I was a bully. I bit a kid in preschool cause he had a huge brown freckle on his arm. I'm talking 1.5 inch, 38mm, diameter large. Parents took me to the kid's house to apologize and help the other parents know why I did it. Literally told them I thought it was a brownie, and I literally thought it was. So I wasn't truly a bully but more of a complete moron. But for a few days 2 sets of parents believed I was the antichrist at 4 years old. A lot of responses here are relying on the trope that bullies are that way because they have low self-esteem, have been bullied themselves, etc. And while I'm in no way discounting people's lived experiences, research debunks this pretty thoroughly. Most bullies aren't sad, they don't have low self-esteem, and they aren't victims. They have very high self-esteem, feel powerful, and use that power against others. Bullies bully because it's easy, they like it, and it works. Bully? Try legitimate psychopath. Stepdaughter. It's an ongoing battle to keep all other children and animals safe. I hardly sleep and I don't sit down. I sort of gave my son a test when he was 6 to see if he was a bully by giving him permission to hit a kid. Context: he and I were tossing the football in the yard and a neighborhood kid came up that my son knew, so I started alternating tosses between the two. No biggie. My son didn't mind, because they were talking back and forth as I was tossing the ball. Then, the kid gut checks my son. Not a little tap, but not a full on hit either. I saw it happen. My son reacts, and the kid catches the ball being thrown to my son. Still alternating. It took about 4 or 5 gut checks, which got increasingly more forceful, and my son had had enough and started to stomp inside. I paused him for a minute, and I asked him, "Why you going inside, buddy?" "Because X keeps hitting me to catch the ball, and I'm tired of being hit." Fair enough. X must like to be treated the way he treats his friends. You have my permission to hit X. Go for it. I look back and forth and both kids are wide-eyed in shock. Both couldn't believe what I had just said. Both of them were frozen. Proudly, after a couple seconds, my son didn't make a move, and X just stood there. Tell you what, X, I don't want you in my yard again. I don't want you to hit my son again. If you have an issue with it, by all means, bring your parents up here and I'll be more than happy to explain to them how you chose to treat my son. You're in my yard, so you know where we live. My name is Metallic Blue, so you can give a name to your parents. Now get out of here and go have the day that you deserve. We walked inside, X went home, and we never heard from him or his parents. I'll be damned if I wasn't proud of my son. I was 90% confident he wouldn't go hit X, and I would have stopped him if he'd tried. We had some damn fine chocolate milk after that escapade. That was 10 years ago, and I'm still proud of my son today, for an infinite number of reasons.